go. Okay, here we go. Welcome, everybody in St. Louis. Thank you very much for being here. Guess who it is again? Your old buddy Eddie McVey from Maggie O'Brien's. That's where we're sitting. And guess who I'm sitting with? My old pal Joey Zanaboni, our very own broadcaster from St. Louis City. Joey, how are you?
Eddie, I am great. Thank you again for having me out for another wonderful post-game experience at Maggie O's.
Thank you for being here, buddy. Hey, not the way we wanted to go for our last game of the year, but we're still in the playoffs and we're still kind of in control. We did lose tonight, 2-0 to a very good Seattle club.
Talented team.
Very club. Very talented. And I'm going to tell you, as a fan sitting down low, they were good tonight. When I say they, I mean Seattle was good on the couple times. I felt like it was what we would normally do, which would be on the counterattack, which we did well a couple times. But Seattle was fast, quick, and for real coming at us from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, final game of the regular season ends up with the Seattle Sounders cementing their spot as the number 2 seed. Of course, St. Louis City SC is the only team ahead of them, winning the Western Conference a few games ago and sewing up a historic place as the first expansion team ever to win the Western Conference. But this ends up being the battle of the top 2 teams in the West, and it shows you how good the upper echelon of the Western Conference is. Now, I think an advantage that City will have, I know this game was at home, but we do have home field advantage. If we see Seattle again at home, I think there are enough positives out there tonight that tell me that St. Louis can beat Seattle despite falling to them twice in the regular season. It is very much able, I think, to take down the Seattle Sounders team. There were a couple of chances tonight that we'll look back on and really say we should have finished those. Ball falls to Joao Klaus just outside the 6-yard box in the first couple of minutes. Only hit 4 or 5 balls over the bar and also had a penalty kick erased in the second half. There was a penalty kick awarded to St. Louis after some contact in the box. It was erased by the VAR review. But positives out there tonight. And as you said, everything's looking toward the postseason, which starts the weekend of October 28th.
Which we're obviously all looking forward to. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, tonight, the game, does it lend itself, based off of your thought, Joe, does it lend itself to anything we need to be concerned about? And what I mean by that is, Seattle played a very good counter game tonight. They really did, because I was sitting there watching it. I mean, right there watching it. They are fast. They are good. They're good with the ball. They are quick to releasing the ball. And I found myself thinking, is this going to be an issue? I don't know.
I mean, shout out to Brian Schmetzer, who's the head coach of the Seattle Sounders. He puts together incredible rosters year in, year out. And maybe you learned that trick playing professionally in St. Louis. He was a professional indoor player with the St. Louis Storm back in the early 1990s. He has a way of stocking the roster. It's a franchise that's got a proud history. And they had a good strategy tonight. One thing we talked about throughout the broadcast on Y98 and Apple TV was that they were sending Jordan Morris, really fast forward, who scores a lot of goals. He did not score tonight, but they were sending him forward on these long runs to pressure Roman Berkey. The goalkeeper has actually been one of the biggest parts of the St. Louis City offense because he can launch the ball downfield with pinpoint accuracy. They put pressure on him and kind of took, I thought, enough of that away from St. Louis City that I bet another team in the playoffs is going to give it a chance. But when you look at how the playoffs are broken down, you have to win 5 out of 6 games to be the MLS Cup champion. And in those games where you need the wins, it's going to be a bunch of different styles that get thrown at you. I think City's going to have to go through a gauntlet in the Western Conference to reach the Cup final. And I think we'll see teams play them a couple of different ways.
I noticed tonight, I felt like multiple times that Berkey had to come off of his line. And I mean, when I say come off of his line, I mean come completely off of his line and play the ball out. Do you think there is something out right now with all the other teams that there's a deal where play that ball all the way forward and let your guy with all the speed run through? Because all the games that I've been to, I have not seen him have to come off of his line that much. Do you think there might be something out there that they're saying, hey, you want to beat this team?
Certainly
Throw
wouldn't
that
shock
ball forward.
Yeah.
Let your speed forward go through. And because I have never seen.
It's a good point you're making here, Eddie, but I'll tell you something a little more delicious has found its way to me. The signature shamrock sandwich from Maggie and Brian's.
That is
a delicious treat.
That is a garlic cheese bread with a steak sandwich.
Medium rare, baby. It's the only way. Look at that.
And I appreciate that, Joe. You know, got me into dog mode here. Steak sandwich, garlic cheese bread, medium rare. And our steak sandwiches, steak medallions, so they're steak tenderloins.
It's so delicious. I've forgotten your question here,
and it's his favorite sandwich to eat.
It's the best thing in here, and it's
so hey, okay, everybody, let's listen. Maybe it's just St. Louis. If you're out and about, or going to be in the area of going to a St. Louis soccer game, maybe a Blues game, maybe a Cardinals game, maybe a concert, or maybe you just happen to be in St. Louis, please come to Maggie O'Brien's right at the corner of 20th and Market Street. We would love to see you before or after any of your events, as well as we have another location at Sunset Hills.
I love that one as well.
We have a Sunset Hills location, so please come see us down there. We're at basically 44 in Lindbergh, Sunset Hills. Go see our very famous, wonderful Tara that runs the whole.
Shout out to Sunset Hills. My parents live in Sunset Hills, so I love that Maggie O'Brien's.
So please come down and see us there too.
Please do. And Eddie, I think, as I said, this food is so delicious. I've forgotten your question. Suffice to say,
I'm gonna give it to you real quick.
There's a cat and mouse game in the MLS that Bradley Carnell and his staff positively relish. They love it. As one team catches up to what you're doing, you have to adjust and you have to try new things. And if we've learned one thing about this coaching staff that set records this year and had a historic expansion team season, it's that they'll try things new and they try to do things different. Whatever the other team is going to be thinking will work, I know Carnell and his staff will do their best to take it away.
So I'm going to throw it back at the question, which is exactly to your answer, which is this. Do you feel like there's a reason? And hey, listen, Joe, I know nothing, but I've been to almost every home game and I've watched all the games. I've never seen Berkey have to come off of his line.
And you've also listened to all the games on Y98, right?
I've listened to all the games on Y98.
You're home for today's best variety, the Brett Mega Morning Show, and of course, St. Louis City SC Soccer.
I have never seen Berkey have to come off of his line this much as I did today as I was sitting in the stands watching. I mean, I felt like there was a serious push to say, hey, throw the ball forward. If we can get a forward free, we're gonna have something, because he had to come out and play balls forward back multiple times. Do you think there's something to that?
Well, I think you have to have the personnel. They have Jordan Morris, who's one of the fastest players in the MLS, Stanford grad, who's played with the U.S. men's national team. Really, really good player and super, super quick. I think if you have the stuff up top, then go ahead and try it. But even though the score ended up a little bit lopsided at 2-0, and the season series between these two teams ended up 5-0 Seattle, I actually thought that Tim Parker and Joachim Nielsen in the middle did a really good job. The defense is capable of coming back from a performance where they didn't get the results, really shutting the other team down. They'll take on some frustration next weekend against either San Jose or Sporting KC.
Let's get. As much as I would love to like completely break this game down, I think it's fine to say we're going to turn this page away. We're turning the page.
Put those pinky fingers to the moon here, Eddie.
Whatever you're doing, I'm doing. But
24
Now-
karat magic in the air tonight at Maggie O'Brien's on Market Street.
Maggie,
Maggie's.
baby. Now
Hustlers.
listen now, Joey Zanaboni. If I lose him, ladies and gentlemen, if he starts being a funny guy, we're in trouble.
Sure.
Joe, explain one thing to our 3 people that are listening right now.
Of course.
What's the next move from here? Where does St. Louis go? How does this all come together?
Well, St. Louis goes right down to Maggie's on Market Street because we're staying here for the first game of the playoffs. It'll be the weekend of October 28th. As we record this, it is not official what time the game will be at, but download the STL City SC app for the time and day, and also the opponent because it's either San Jose or Sporting Kansas. In Kansas City, Kansas on Wednesday, there's a game 8:30 Central Time. Earthquakes versus Sporting. The winner of that game advances to the weekend to start a best-of-3 series against St. Louis. After that, as we said, conference semifinal November 25th, if the team can get that far, and then December 3rd conference final and the MLS Cup final potentially on December 9th. City will run the table as far as home field advantage goes on the Western Conference side of things. Overall, the team will host the MLS Cup final as long as it's not against one of 3 teams. And those 3 teams are Cincinnati, which won the Supporters Shield with most points, Orlando, and Columbus. St. Louis City SC finishes its first season in the MLS 4th overall out of 29 teams. That's really impressive in terms of point total this year. And obviously, if there was more on the line as playoff seeding win, you would think that perhaps City might have piled up a few more points to close out this regular season on a higher note. But in the end, won the Western Conference and did so with 2 games to spare. So a little room for error for a team that's going to reignite, I think, come playoff time.
Love what you said, and I actually half-ass followed it.
Hey, as
But
long
I
as
need
it's
you-
half-assed, I don't even care you followed it, Eddie.
As a friend, I need you to do me one favor. Please slow this down. So, I, Eddie McVey, Maggie O'Brien's, sure. Matter of fact, if you're going to go to a game, please come by and see us at Maggie O'Brien's before or after games, or maybe you're going to a St. Louis Blues game. We'd love to see you there, St. Louis Cardinals, or a concert, or maybe you're just downtown. Guess who'd love to see you? I would. Maggie O'Brien's, I'd love to see you. I'd love to hang out with you. I'd love to say hello. So please come see us now. I'm going to break this down simply. I'm not going to. He is. He just talks so god darn fast. I'm going to ask him a question. Are you ready? So we are where we are now.
Yeah.
Slow down, Zanaboni. Here's where we are. St. Louis City.
Yep.
Do me a favor for everybody, for our listeners. What will happen next? St. Louis City. Do not tell me or anyone
Playoffs
else.
start this upcoming weekend. Download the STL City SC app to find an opponent, day, and time. But it's
Don't
the
talk
weekend
fast.
of October 28th.
Say it again.
It's the weekend of
You just said it fast. You said do something when,
Download that STL City SC app.
and then
Check for a day, time, and opponent. It'll be this upcoming weekend, the weekend of October.
because we're not real sure right now, ladies and gentlemen, because we're not sure how everything's finished.
That's right.
But we do feel like if everything goes the way we think, without exception, we already know St. Louis will be.
The 1 seed in the Western Conference.
So we have that one. There will be a game 2 away.
Yes. Weekend of November 5th.
Second week of November, we come back to St. Louis
Yes.
for the 3rd game of,
If necessary, the 3rd game of
if
best of
necessary.
if necessary. And then a week off, guaranteed. Conference semifinal November 25th. Conference final December 3rd. Cup final. Presented by Audi, by the way. That's December 9th.
Presented by Audi, by the way. All right. If you guys couldn't stay with that, neither could I, but I am fine with it. Just know this. We're in a friggin' playoffs.
And we're breaking out all the stops here. I brought a friend over for you tonight, Eddie?
Who is it?
I brought a good friend of mine over tonight.
Who is it?
Dan Sweeney, who's the PA voice of City
Dan
Park.
Sweeney. Of the fight, Sweeney.
Dan is with us this evening. Can we bring Dan in?
We can bring Dan in, but ain't Dan Sweeney. A guy I've never met before in my whole life.
Well, you won't be able to say that again after this moment.
I feel like this shirt makes me look fat.
I have the same shirt. It does that to me too.
You know what Tommy Boy said? It ain't your shirt, it's your face.
By the way, I admire your hairstyle.
Dan, thank you kindly.
Yeah,
It's weird that we called each other on this and worked this whole thing out.
we do.
All right, Dan, let's talk briefly about. I don't want to overdo this. So, Dan Sweeney does what for St. Louis City Go?
I am the team's stadium announcer. I do the public address announcing for all home games at the park.
So, when somebody comes on the field, you say,
Well, that's not the most exciting call. The goals are more exciting. But when
so
somebody,
you say it.
oh, you hear it. Yeah,
I hear it. I do hear
you
it.
can hear it from here, I'm sure, right? You're just
So-
right. I can see my office.
Let's start with the subtle stuff. Let's
All
say Eddie McVey, number 10,
Yeah.
is going on the field. So I'm Eddie McVey, number 10 on the field. That's it.
Substitution for St. Louis City. Leaving the game, number 11, Dan Sweeney.
All right.
Entering the game, number 10, McVey.
How cool is that?
In
Suck it.
the
I hear it.
45th minute of play or whatever.
I didn't even know it. I didn't even know. What is camera? I didn't even know it. That's him. That's really him.
I would prefer to announce you scoring. St. Louis City goal! Scored by number 10, Eddie McVey.
Get out of here. I love it.
Oh,
that's so great, man. That's so great. So, if you don't mind, will you start with how did this start for you?
Great question.
From the beginning to
Yeah.
now where you're at, if you don't mind. Give
I don't mind at all. Yeah, I love sharing the story. It takes me back to a lot of good memories. Back in 2001 or two, I was a student studying sport management and had an assistantship or an internship with their the school sports information department. And I did everything there. We were a small little school, and the experience, like I got to write press releases, do play-by-play, do public address, radio producing, studio host, all that stuff. And then my next move was to do an internship with DC United of Major League Soccer, then in a really young 6-year-old league. And one day, the public address guy at RFK Stadium in DC didn't show up. And the director of operations said to me, or said to the interns, hey, we need a guy who can do this. And I was like, I'll do it. Like, absolutely, right? And so that night I did it and announced at RFK Stadium in Jack Kent Cook's booth or whatever. And that year, at the end of the season, he didn't come back. And so they gave me the job. And so I did it for DC for about a year and a half.
Did you always know? First of all, very cool story. But did you always know you kind of wanted to do? You didn't know where it was going to lead,
No,
but did you always know you kind of wanted to be in it?
no, that's not what I wanted to
love
be.
it. I
Yeah.
love your honesty.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
that's
it.
not what I wanted to be. It was fun. I was loving it, but I thought I'd work in pro sports, like in a front office or do something like that. And I did, I did that a little bit with DC, and then I stayed in DC. I'm from Montreal originally, up in Canada.
Okay, no.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, no. First
You
time,
hoser.
you hoser. Once you did your initial, hey, I'll step up. How does it get to be? How do you lead yourself to the fact that now you're gonna actually be the PA announcer for the St. Louis City?
Wild story. Like you asked if I was going to plan on doing this. No, it was a fun little side gig. While in DC, I managed a health club there and did the public address announcing on the side for them. And I got bored with that and wanted something a little bit more intellectual. I was tired, and also the schedule is really rough when you manage a health club. It's never closed. Christmas is the only time it's closed, and you're there from 5 a.m. all the way till closing, and it's 364 days a year. And I like leisure time. I like downtime. And so I went back to school and did a PhD in sport management at Florida State University. And while there, I worked in their athletic department and did a lot of the same stuff I had done before. So I did it at Florida State for a while, play-by-play and other things, and graduated and then left it completely. I went to work as a professor, first in Little Rock, Arkansas for 5 years.
Awesome.
Because when you're a new academic, you go wherever they offer you a job.
Amen.
And so Little Rock was the first place for 5 years. Pittsburgh was the next place for 2. And then we moved here. So my wife's from St. Louis.
Was that all teaching before that?
All teaching, sport management, those 2 universities.
Now, let me cut you right from there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you come, your wife's from St. Louis.
Yep.
Now we're cutting a line right there. Bam. Now, how does it, and I mean this because I want to know, but I guarantee you the 3 guys that are listening to this want to know, how did that lead to you doing this?
Moved here in 2014 to work at Lindenwood. That's what I do now. I teach there in the sport management program. And 2 months into the job, we held a sports career symposium, and we invited all the sports teams and leagues and whatever and businesses that are in the area. I didn't. I just got there. It wasn't my gig, but I was part of it. And one of the people who came to that symposium was the sales director for the brand new, never played before USL soccer team called St. Louis FC, who started at Soccer Park in the summer of 2015. This was the fall of 14. And we talked about the students and jobs and stuff. And then right at the end, I said to her, I said, hey, you guys got a public address announcer for your USL team? Because, I do that for it was like 10 years before. But anyways, I do that. And so we talked, and I met the folks there, Jeremy Allenbaugh and Pat Barry, who ran the team. Jim Kavanaugh was the owner of the team. He's part owner here. And I didn't meet with him. He had nothing to do with very cool. And so I got hired, and I did, and I got the job. And so I was St. Louis FC's announcer at Soccer Park until they folded, right, in 2021 because of COVID. Yeah.
So did that transfer then over? Obviously, there's some part of that, but
yeah,
then that transfers over to this.
Well, there was a year where there was a pause, right? FC had folded. We pushed our start date back here at City 1 year because of COVID. But in the interim, they ran City 2 last year out at SLU, and then the second half of the season out in Edwardsville, right? Over at SIUE. And so it was, I was all over it. I contacted them. I told them I wanted to do it. And then they probably just shut me up, said, fine, you can do it at City 2. So I was the City 2 announcer last season. And then when it came time to this, I obviously applied and wanted to be a part of it and let them know. And they went through their interviews, and I was selected.
And at that point, it's almost like a no-brainer for them.
I hope so. I thought one of the reasons I did City 2 was, one, I just love to do it. It doesn't really matter how big it is or small it is. There's another USL team in the area. I have 2 boys, 12 and 10, Liam and Jack. And
shout out Liam and Jack. Shout out
Liam and Jack. Yep.
Liam and Jack.
Better be sleeping now, boys. But if you're not, it's okay too. Liam plays soccer with a club, St. Charles FC. We live out in St. Charles, and his club has a USL2 team, and I do it for them in the summer as well. So I just love doing it. It's fun. But yeah, I really wanted this gig, I'll tell you.
How does it work to where there's a connection between you saying I would like to, or them saying would you like to end up actually sitting in that booth and doing it?
Yeah. So I was lucky in the sense that we opened the stadium in the fall or late fall when we hosted when City 2 hosted Bayer Leverkusen, the German soccer team that came here, and they opened the stadium. And so I was already City 2's announcer, so I did that game. So fortunately, they got to hear me in the stadium, see me in the stadium, sitting in the booth, fitting that role. So I already probably had, hopefully, I mean, a little leg up. But they did their due diligence. They posted the job. They did a bunch of interviews. They had people interview. So they wanted to make sure that they had the right person for that job. But I already knew all the people that were here from working City 2 and then also doing that game. So when it came time to it, they reached out back to me knowing I was obviously applied and interested. And they said, we want to hire you. And that was in February of this year.
First day.
Yeah.
When I say first day, I'm saying first day. Obviously, you walk in. There's days you walk in. But first day you walk in, and today's the day, tonight's the night, and you're gonna literally when you open your mouth.
Yeah.
When you open your mouth,
yeah,
15,000 people are gonna be listening to whatever the hell you say.
So the first time,
give it to me as you walk in the booth. You sit down, and you're thinking what? Because I'm going to tell you what I would do. As I walked in, I'd sit down and I would know 50,000 people would be listening to whatever I just said. I would be like, I'd be calling. My mom's not alive, and I'd be trying to call somebody. I'd be freaking out like they do. So give it to me. You walk in, you sit down, and 15,000 people are about to hear everything you say. How do you do it?
So I'll be honest with you.
And how do you feel?
Yeah. I'll tell you how I feel in a second. The first thing I did, the first thing I announced wasn't with 15,000 people because the first announcement goes well before most people are in the building.
Okay.
So I got to speak when there was probably only like 1,000 people or two in the building an hour or two before. So you get that out of you. And
that's awesome.
But the first announcement is really cool. It's right. It's we were playing Charlotte that day, March 4th, and it was good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to City Park. And that's so cool, right? And then I was nervous as shit. Oh my God. I couldn't catch my breath. I was that nervous. Because what I've done big games, right? Like in my life, DC. I did a World Cup. Women's World Cup was in DC in 2003 because of the SARS epidemic. They moved it from China to the US, and DC was a venue. And so I did that. So I've done some big games and all-star games. This one here was really, really big, and I felt it. And I was nervous. I was probably shouting too much, but nobody cared. Everybody was in such a good mood anyways, right? But I was nervous, but it was fun, and we won. And what was really funny about that day, though, is I think if I'm Joey, hey, our first ever goal scored was an own goal, right?
Yes.
Just a sec. Just one question. It was an own goal, right?
Served in by Derwinski, and it hit off a Charlotte head.
Yeah.
And went in.
Yeah. Isn't that exciting? Our first ever goal was an own goal. So you want to call this, St. Louis City goal, but no, it's like an own goal. I mean, it's
what the gods delay, they do not deny.
It was an anticlimactic, but we won, so it was good.
We, ignorant of ourselves, beg often our own harms, which the wise powers deny us for our good. So find we profit by losing of our prayers.
Thank the Lord that I don't do play-by-play, and I just announce what's on a script because I can't keep up with that. Like, seriously, the stuff that comes out of your mouth, that was only the question. I had to ask him. But yeah, so the first goal was an own goal. So it was very anticlimactic that day. But yeah, man, it was exciting.
But how cool is it for you to literally get up there, act like you're just here, I'm just gonna do this, I'm doing that. And actually when I don't know what that feels like. Because if I stood up there and I look around, I go, the second I say something in this friggin' microphone, all 50,000 people about to hear it.
Here's the thing, though. Who cares? They can't see you.
All right, then.
More people here are looking at you than look at me. The audience is anonymous, and that gives you the confidence I mean, me the confidence, anyways, to say stuff like nobody sees me.
So let me tell you this. And all joking aside, now I'm going to say this because I'm a St. Louis boy. So you're going to think, well, you love me because I'm a St. Louis guy and I'm a St. Louis guy and I root for you. But I go to them games. I hear it. You do a great.
That's really kind.
Not being kind.
Thank you.
Not being kind.
It is kind.
Because I would tell you this. I don't know how you keep screwing this up if I thought that.
Well,
But
I can tell you a few of my screw ups that I've had over the years. So actually, I'll be honest with you because it's funny. Joey, I don't know if you know this, but it's okay. You can keep it on you. He'll hear it after. It'll be surprised. One of the very first announcements today, and I don't know why this came into my head. I welcomed. I'm gonna get fired. No, I welcomed people by accident to Soccer Park and not City Park tonight. Did you know that? I welcomed people to Soccer Park tonight by accident. I said, hey, welcome to Soccer Park. And I went, City Park. And my producer, David Vetter, said, don't worry, nobody heard it. And I walk out to go get dinner after I stop. And the first person I see there is Tom Timmerman from the Post Dispatch. And he comes to me and he says, hey, Soccer Park, eh?
All right. Let's finish it with this.
Yeah.
We learned how you got there.
Yeah.
We learned what you did to be there. Let's talk right now about now you're there.
Yep.
You're there and you're doing it. You're in the booth. You're talking. You're doing your read. You're in there. The good, the bad. Are you feeling comfortable? Are you like sometimes I'm thinking, I don't know. How does it feel moving forward now as a guy that literally is the guy that says everything to 15,000 people?
I'll tell you, most days I'm nervous, just enough, right? Where you perform well. There are times where I do get a little comfortable, maybe cocky. I don't know that I'm happy I'm doing it. I'll be honest. I'm like, hey, and those days where I feel that though is when I screw up.
Okay.
I screw up those days. You know why? Because that humbles you to be able to continue to do it
So
better.
awesome. What a cool.
You have to.
That is so cool. You just said that.
100%. You cannot get
Good
comfortable
for you.
because the moment you get comfortable is the moment you start not taking it seriously.
Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
You own a bar and restaurant. The day you start rocking and rolling and you decide you're not worried about the salt and pepper shakers are filled,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You don't know it,
But
you're in trouble.
you're in trouble already. Yeah.
So what you just said correlates to my life. And
I think
that.
I bet it correlates to everyone.
Everyone's life.
The second you get comfortable, you stop doing all the things
That makes a difference.
that brought you to where you were, that made you successful, that made you where you are. Second you get comfy and go, hey, I'm good, you're done.
Yeah.
Or you get a lesson and you refocus.
I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Say your name again.
Dan Sweeney.
Dirty Dan Sweeney.
I love it.
Now listen, no one else is going to call him Dirty Dan Sweeney.
Nobody ever has.
Eddie McVey, Maggie O'Brien's, my buddy Dirty Dan, my buddy Joey Zanaboni. This is how we do it here at Maggie O'Brien's. You want to say hello to my man? Come say hi to him. Shake his hand. Tell him next time, don't say this so loud. Don't say that so loud. He's going to laugh in your face, but he's going to shake your hand. Welcome to Joey Zanaboni. My man right here. Thank you so much for being here. God love you. You're a good
Thanks
man.
for having me, my man. I really enjoyed this.
How cool is that to hear the story? If you ever want to know how you get to do that, there it is. Tell your kids, there it is. That's how you get to be that guy. God darn it.
After tonight, we've got the playoffs starting next weekend against either San Jose or Sporting KC. That's going to be an interesting matchup against both Both season series do belong to St. Louis against both his opponents, best of 3. Fast forward end of November after that, 25th conference semifinal, December 3rd conference final, December 9th MLS Cup final. That would be at the home of the team with the better record to finish it out. And listen, as far as where does this team go next, I think it goes back to the bread and butter. I think the usual characters who have stepped up the entire season will emerge as leaders. Joao Klaus and Edward Lubin and Roman Berkey have led this team all season, but it's been an entire cast of contributors. Someone will step up. Tim Parker has been so vocal this year. And after a tough couple of games to close the regular season, acknowledge the success of the regular season, winning the Western Conference with humility, and go into the playoffs knowing that this is really tough competition we're going to face.
It is. I find it, I won't say funny or ironic, but I will re-point this out because I love what you just said. And I actually think this is going to be the difference between us going, holy shucks, wasn't it cool that we made it in? Or us moving forward and moving forward. And that is this. You just said it. Who steps up next? Because we have had so many guys step up. When I thought early on in the season, Klaus got hurt. I'm thinking, all right, now you're going to see out of nowhere who else scored a goal. Who else scored a goal? Who else scored a goal? People you did not see coming to do that. Then he comes back in the lineup, and what does he do? Score goals.
Yeah.
My point is this: there's something to that, and if we're going to keep moving forward, not only do we need him, not only do we need Lou, however you say, I can never say his name. Leuven.
I don't even say it like that though. I just say Leuven.
His set pieces, his just overall play. But we're going to need everyone else. So,
hey, listen, this is what I compare it to. I'm guilty of a lot of things in my life, Eddie, and you know that. But one of the things I'm guilty of is storing my contact lenses in Diet Sprite. And the feeling the next day, it stings, folks. And I've done it a couple of dozen times. Well, just a couple of times. And you wash your eyes out the next day, you splash some water on your face, and you resolve to just squint really hard while you're driving so you can see where you are in traffic. It's a tough position to be in, but ultimately you recover, you come out stronger because of it. That's what this team is going to do as they go into the playoffs. I'm very confident that St. Louis City SC is going to continue to challenge itself to get better. They have the entire year, and the results will come. This team has incredible talent, but it's how they play for each other that sets them apart. I think that's going to emerge and carry this team well into the postseason. Anything is possible in your first year in the MLS.
This is so exciting. It's so exciting. I have said this to you once, twice, 3 times, maybe 4. I think this city would be pumped up if we'd have finished this thing 50-50.
Yeah.
If we'd have been a 500 team.
Yeah.
To start this whole deal off. The fact that where we are,
yeah,
is such an announcement to this league, but to our fan base. Holy cow, we are here, and we are not here to.
It is just like what the critics are saying about Olivia Rodrigo. She arrives. Quite simply, she didn't even have to walk in the front door. She simply arrived. And St. Louis City has done exactly that in the MLS, arriving at the top of the Western Conference.
I'm going to be honest with the camera I'm looking at. I don't know who Olivia Rodrigo is, but I will tell you this. I agree with him. We have arrived. St. Louis City is here. We are excited about being here. We're at Maggie O'Brien's directly across the street from St. Louis City Park. I, Eddie McVey, am sitting with my good buddy, Joey Zanaboni. We can't thank you enough for being here or listening to us. We look forward to talking to you as we win our first ever our first ever
MLS Cup.
MLS playoff game. One game at a time, baby.
It's October 28th. Weekend of it.
28. Come see us.
Weekend of it.
You want to say hi to Joey Zanaboni, the actual broadcaster for St. Louis City? Here he is. Come say hi. You want to come say hi to the guy that slings chicken wings and cold Budweiser? You're looking at him. Come on. Point being is we're going to win our first playoff game in St. Louis right here on 20th and Market Street. I'm Eddie McVey, Maggie O'Brien's. We look forward to seeing you. And I am friends with and partners with my pal, Joey Zanaboni, St. Louis City broadcaster. Hey, do us a favor. Come see us. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much. Let's go, St. Louis.
Let's go St. Louis to the SC.
Woo!